Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Ace, Mike Montero, and you are listening to Stirring the Pot.
Ugliness. We've got one Mike Montero. This is Stirring the Pot with Don Kincaid and my very, very special guest, Mike Montero. What is happening, my man?
Not much, my man. How's it going?
Dude, we are pushing through this whole COVID. I try to kind of do a little spin on it because it's a little dismal right now, so I try to just give it a little spirit, and I call it COVID because, hey, it's Kincaid. People like to fuck with me, so it is what it is. We call it a little COVID action. COVID.
Try to have some fun with it. Try to keep it positive. I hear you.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's enough kind of shit going on around right now. So first off, I'm going to give you a big thank you, a heartwarm thank you for coming on, taking your time out for this, because some of us still have to work. Some of us have things to continue to do with our lives, and I appreciate this very much.
Nah, man, thank you. I'm glad to be on. I mean, it's weird not being able to go to shows and stuff like that, not being able to wrestle. And honestly, we need outlets like this to be able to get out how we're feeling and be able to tell our stories. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, this is exactly why I kind of do this thing. I mean, I'm just a dude with a phone. And I figured, hey, I love a lot of the boys and girls that are out there. The talent is so strong in New England. And I've met so many amazing men and women out there. And I figured, while everybody's kind of cooped up, if I could maybe do a little something and have some fun, kind of, again, get away from all of the bullshit, hang out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, talk a little wrestling, get to know one Mike Montero. I mean, this is fantastic for me because, I mean, I still got to do the essential job. They got us open working, so
Yeah.
I'm just trying to do my head straight, you know.
Yeah.
So what I like to do is basically pull back the curtain a little bit of the entertainment value.
Okay.
Now you're from a different area than I'm from, and what I like to do is the fans around this area get to be introduced if they don't know Mike Montero. And also out in your area, you've got, plenty of fans. You've got some peers. You've got a bunch of promotions that you work for that I hope we can all kind of be introduced to Mike Montero if we don't know him yet.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
So what I basically like to start off with is we've met each other a couple times. I've seen you at some RWA, some Proving Grounds, some XWA, some Nova, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely, yes.
And those are all based out of Rhode Island, out of those promotions that I just mentioned. And so I would travel very far for quite a long time. I was doing the drives, if you will.
Yeah.
I mean, I still do them, but the 2+ hour drives are just a little too much for me right now. So I haven't get up in your area much. So this is a pleasure for me because I've only been able to see you perform a handful of times. So the very first time I seen Mike Montero, I want to say it was an RWA at the Chop Shop. I might be mistaken, but I'm not sure. Could have been Nova. Who knows? Dude, you made a mark on my brain. You came out. You were you're a thinner guy like me, except I'm way thinner than Mike Montero. And you get in there and you got your A game on, and you've got the hair. You've got this little beautiful face of yours. But man, you get inside that ring and you do your thing, and we appreciate it as fans. And give me a little insight on your character, because is it just Mike Montero? Is it just the guy from out of the ring into the ring? Is there a character involved in the name Mike Montero?
Well, yeah. I mean, basically, Mike Montero, I feel like, relates with an audience because Mike Montero is no different than the audience. I'm just a kid who grew up loving wrestling like everyone else. I sat on the other side of the rail just like all you guys did. And I grew up in this business. I started when I was 16 years old, and I had my first match in front of a live paying audience when I was 17. And I've been doing this basically my whole life. I've grown up in professional wrestling, and it's just, it's like one of those things where like I connect because I'm just like everyone else. Like it's living proof that any one of us can do this if they pursue it and they're willing to take that grueling aspect of it. You know what I mean? To get in there and grit and like that. I feel like that's how I connect with everyone else. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, that is very logical, and maybe that's why I grasped onto your character, because I always go to the shows with my dad. We go to all of them, you know.
Yeah.
My first impression was, wow, that's a thinner guy. I think he's gonna die in the ring. My dad was like, that dude is gonna fucking die. But no way, man. You came out and you showed us something that you don't have to be a giant guy to get into that ring and make us believe in the story you're trying to give us, which we talk a lot about story on these interviews because it needs to be a story in wrestling.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And that's basically what I try to do. I mean, if you pay attention to my style, you'll never really see me pick somebody up because realistically, I can't lie. Most guys that wrestle, I can't. So my style is basically strike based, and as I adapt to the size of my opponent, I throw my body at them with everything I've got, because like I said, I don't have much size. So the best way to use my size is to use it at full speed, to throw my body caution to the wind. You know what I mean? And my strikes come from, well, I spent growing up when I was a kid 10 years doing martial arts. So that's where my kicks and my forearms and different things like that, that's where it comes from. So when I'm out there, the strikes are the real deal. It's deadly out there, and that's what keeps me alive. Is like if I have that opening to be able to hit you, it'll rock you, and I can capitalize from that.
Well, you do take us on a ride when you're in the ring, and it's always enjoyable. The very few times that I was able to see you perform, I've watched from afar. I try to keep my eye on the pulse around me, and I'm always trying to keep an eye on what's going out in the Rhode Island scene. You guys out there have some of the most effing fun I've ever seen in wrestling. I mean, every place is family. They always say, you know, from place to place, we're a family, and it is like that. That's what it becomes as a family. But out in the Rhode Island scene specifically, it's a little bit different than around here. Wrestling seems a little, how do I put it? A tad more gimmick orientated, if you will, up in your area than it is down here. I mean, I know there's gimmicks in all of it, but it's a little more over the top, way larger than life. You guys got pizza delivery guys coming in, and you know, and these funky little things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
So do you prefer? Is there any type of wrestling do you prefer, or when you go to an event, you're like, that was my fault. I am so
okay.
Oh, that was on end. People trying to call me that I don't even want to talk to. It was probably 6 from the firm, I imagine. Do you prefer any type of wrestling when you go to an event and you're on the card, or a specific kind of wrestler to go against? Or does Mike Montero go in with an open mind and say, I got this, no matter what's going on?
I do, for the most part, try to go in with an open mind, because I think a story is a story, and I think I do have my own style of match that I like to have particularly, but I like to go out there and do the dance with somebody else the way they do it. You know what I mean? Whether that be putting on a brown cloak and wrestle your own adventure against Theodore Liftington, who's now tripling as a Triclops, and doing things like that, and then going to like places like the real like Sticks of Maine, like back when I first started, and those guys, they react to the body slam. Whereas like nowadays, when you go to like maybe like a Beyond crowd, you know, they're expecting like balls to the wall, and like those, and like exactly, and in bet out there, it's totally different. So like I just like telling a story. So like I don't have a particular flavor of ice cream. Like I try to incorporate a little bit of everything, but I also, when I'm watching the card, I like to see a card that has everything, because nobody wants to watch the same match twice, you know?
Not at all. And I can appreciate that, especially you. And I mean, I know we always all start as fans, but not all wrestlers continue to be fans. They have a different vibe. They have a different feel in wrestling, and not you don't always stay a fan as a wrestler. So I appreciate that, and the way you talk, you're still a fan of wrestling.
Yeah, without a doubt. I'm definitely still a fan of wrestling. I know there's some wrestlers who don't even watch wrestling, and I don't even understand that, because I can't garner inspiration and ideas and study from, like, I can't find another way to take it to the next level without studying from some of the best, and still like grasping this and loving it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely, man. So that kind of leads me into something, because what I like to do is gauge each person that I talk to, because I am very curious. Do you watch any of the current product being from ROH to WWE to New Japan or AEW or the new NWA? I mean, do you keep your eye on any of that stuff?
I pay attention to pretty much everything, yes. I mean, I'm not too familiar with Ring of Honor these days, but I used to be a really big fan of Ring of Honor when I was a lot younger. And in the years before, WWE pretty much signed up all their guys. But yeah, I pay attention to pretty much everybody's product right now.
That's cool, because hey, some do, like you said, like I said, some do, and then like you said, some don't, and it's kind of boggling to me. And I think that's why I bring this question up to each person I talk to, because I just try to get a feel of why they do or why they don't. You know what I'm saying? They all have their reasoning and such. And like WWE, there's a lot of promos, there's a lot of rewind, sometimes there's not as much wrestling and other programs.
Yeah, that's true sometimes.
And I mean, I get that or whatever. But I just try to like to kind of keep an eye on most of it, as much, like you said, as much as I can, because there's so much. Wrestling is amazingly flourishing right now.
It has never been more exciting, and it's never been. I feel like years ago, you kind of like tongue in cheek were like, yeah, I like wrestling. You know what I mean? Because like it wasn't the cool thing to do, but it has become like the cool thing. Like when you can walk into a Hot Topic and see like Chris Jericho's T-shirt, you know what I mean? And like this, it's crazy. It's crazy where we're at with professional wrestling, and that's why I guess this whole like this virus thing kind of sucks, because it's kind of taking the wind out of our sails when we're just beginning to truly thrive, you know?
I can't feel enough for all of the men and women that get in that ring day in, day out, week in, week out, month and year after year, and now have to do no wrestling whatsoever. The gyms are shut down. You can't even go out and do, anything wrestling related, basically. So, I mean, it's different for a fan to be cooped up and not go to wrestling, but I can't even imagine what it is for you guys and girls right now. Could you give me a little insight on what's taking your mind away from the loss of wrestling until it comes back?
I'll be honest, I haven't really done a good job of taking my mind away from it. Honestly, it's kind of weighed heavy on me. Like I said, I started doing this when I was 17. I'm going to be 29 next month. So I've been wrestling basically mostly half my life. And it's weird to not, this is going to be my third weekend now where I don't have anything going on. And it's like just so weird. Like I don't know what to make of it yet. I guess I try to just watch, like, keep up, especially now that we don't have shows. It's easier to keep up with a lot of people's products, but at the same time, I can't really watch WWE at this point because it really hurts my soul to see there be no audience, because we can't do this without an audience. Like, it's not the same, and everything out there hurts so much more when there's nobody to react to it, and it's just so different. And I just feel for them so much that it's almost like it's one of those things where it's so bad, you kind of got to look away, you know what I mean? And it's not in a bad, like, not that their performance is bad, it's just the vibe. It
Right.
makes me feel negative. So, like, I can't even like pay attention to that right now. Don't get me wrong, I am invested in what's going to happen with WrestleMania for sure. Like, that's, like, I have an open mind about WrestleMania, but I am still, like, in shock of, like, even AEW, like, they did their best with trying to make it feel like a real presentation with the guys betting outside the ring. I thought that was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it just sucks, man. Like, it's hard to perform when there's nobody to perform in front of. And, like, I can't imagine what it's like for them, where it's like, because we perform in front of hundreds, these guys perform in front of thousands every night, and now they're performing in front of no one. Like,
I know.
It's mind-blowing.
Is that something you think you could get through? Because I know, there's little soirees going on here and there. There might be a taping here or a taping there, or things going on that's still trying to keep wrestling in some of your guys' life. Is that something you could do? Is perform at, say, a taping with no crowd whatsoever? Is that something you could push through?
I mean, I can't say I haven't done it before, because in the beginnings of wrestling and training and things like that, like, when I would work shows just so I could try to get work, or, like, for experience, like, especially in the beginning stages of RWA, we didn't, like, especially when we got a building, the first building we got, we didn't really wrestle in front of fans. It kind of became word of mouth. People just started showing up. So at first, it was like studio taping atmosphere where all the boys kind of just sat around the ring. So, like, in that aspect, yes, I can do that, but they don't really get the chance to do that anymore. If you notice, as the weeks go on, the audience has, the capacity of the people that they can have out there has started to dwindle even more. And it went from having, like, 10 guys to the outside to, I saw a couple of clips from Dark this week where there was literally no one. And it's, like, just awkward. You see the cameraman in the corner and the random sound guy here. And it's like, this is just not right. Like, it's hard to watch.
It really is. And I have to agree with those aspects of what you just talked about, because we'll say you watch a match. Now, when it very first happened, Triple H and Cole are sitting at a commentator booth. Bayley, and I can't remember her partner, come out, and Bayley's cutting a promo on nobody, and then walks up to Triple H and Cole and starts kind of cutting it on them. And I'm just sitting there watching it, and I go, I know they're trying to trudge through a very odd time, but this is just funky, man.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's just weird. Like, I mean, like I said, I'm trying to keep an open mind, and I have faith that they'll do something to make WrestleMania special. But, man, this is a tough time. This is definitely a tough time. It's hard to take my mind off of it, because this is all I really do. This is all I've ever really known. I
got you. Well, I didn't mean to bring it down just a little bit, but
No, you didn't bring it down. No, it's cool. It's cool. You didn't bring it down. Like, I just, like, I like to be real, and I don't want to come on here and just be like, hey, yeah, I'm happy to be here. This is me. I love wrestling. Like, no, I want to be honest, and because I'm sure I'm not the only one who feels this way, and I just want to get that out there. So if there's other people who are feeling the same way I am, it's cool. You're not alone. Like, we're all in this together. We all just want to hear that announcement. Like, it's cool to be able to go back to shows and be able to work and do this thing again. That's all we want.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And that's what I like to do this for, because nothing's written, nothing's scripted. I don't say, hey, this is what we're going to talk about, and then hit record. Whatever we go back and forth, it's always raw and organic. So I appreciate your honesty.
Oh, thanks, man. Thanks.
So Mike Montero's been wrestling for 12 what, 12 years? Is that?
Yes, it's insane. Yeah, I started training with Brickhouse Baker in 2007, and while I was training there, RWA wasn't really considered independent wrestling, but they were running shows, and Chris Cruz, who also was training with Brickhouse Baker, who had years of experience training with Brickhouse Baker, he would kind of do his own sessions. So when we'd go to RWA, Chris Cruz before the shows would get a couple of the guys in the ring, and he would go like drill all that other stuff that we had learned with Brickhouse Baker over and over and over again and drilled it in with us. So we got to work shows and gain experience and adapt. Like I would work Chris Cruz, and Chris Cruz would be like, we did this thing and this thing and this thing at training, and those are the things we're going to do tonight. You know what I mean? We'll find a way to incorporate those things. So like he helped me learn while we were out there live, and that's something that most guys when they're training don't really do. They kind of train for a really, really long time before they're actually, you know, until they're given the go, like you're ready to start working shows while they're training. So like right from the jump, as soon as I stepped foot in a ring, I was learning how to lock up, not just in training, but I was learning how to lock up in matches. So I trained with Brickhouse for about a year and a half, and then I switched up and went to train with Pride, Dan Freitas and Brian Nunes, because they actually were running a little school down the street from where I lived. So it was easier to get to. And that changed the game for me, because when I learned all those drills with Cruz and Baker, it was different because like I didn't really still understand how to tell a story, so to say. And when I got with Dan and Brian, that's where I really learned how to tell the story. So from that point on is when I started to work shows about a year after that. So I would say that was 2010. So since like 2010, I've been working pretty much every weekend. It's pretty wild.
Wow. So you've been on a crazy ride in the past decade on your career, I can imagine.
Yeah, it's cool. I've been to it. A lot of people don't realize, because I work mostly in Rhode Island, they don't realize that I've done a lot of the drives before a lot of these guys who are coming up have. Like I did my first Maine tours in 2010. Like I was already driving out to Maine and going out there. I have traveled to I've gone to Kurt Hawkins School to do a seminar out there, and I did a studio taping out there with Beyond, and I actually had me and my partner Jason Devine in the Dirt City Murder Crew, we were a tag team a few years ago before we added Ricky Medeiros, the Influence, and we had a pretty hot run, and we competed and won the very first Limitless Wrestling match, and we had a hot run in Limitless Wrestling in Maine, and we were at Beyond Wrestling for a little while, and we had a stint in Blitzkrieg, and I have actually been a lot of different places, and a lot of people don't realize that, because my singles career has started to really come into its own locally, and I kind of made a jump. It's weird. Like I went from my home promotion, which is RWA, because Beyond Wrestling at one time had connections to the Chop Shop, the original Chop Shop, not the one in Pawtucket, but the one that was on Broadway in Providence. So because of those connections, we were able to do a lot of stuff with Beyond Wrestling. So I actually had that exposure for a long time, but mostly as a tag team wrestler. So once I was able to become singles, it was kind of different, because that push from Beyond Wrestling, we jumped over all these local promotions and kind of we're out there in front of a wider audience. And now it's different, because I've taken not so much a step back. I don't look at it as a step back, because I'm getting to do something I didn't get to do before, and it's performing in front of. Now I wouldn't even say a smaller audience, just a more intimate audience.
I love the word intimate, because that's what I think really keeps me, I guess, coming back show after show, event after event. I mean, yeah, I like the bigger shows, you know, the SmackDowns or whatever, and the live shows when they're on the road of the bigger companies. Mm-hmm. But that intimacy of walking into a building like the Chop Shop, you walk in, it's a big room, and there's I don't want to say it's a room, but it's a bigger room than some that I've been to. It probably holds, I don't know, anywhere between 60 and to 100 people, would you say, somewhere around there?
Yeah, I'd say that's about average. Yeah.
People come, man, I tell you, I've been to one of the, I can't remember the name. I want to say maybe it was Legacy. People were standing all over the place at that show. I mean, that place was slammed that night. I mean, I know that's a 2-night event, but I went to one and not the second. But you walk in, and there's probably about 60 or 70 chairs that could be set up, and then it becomes standing room only. And man, that intimacy though, because then the fans get to interact more with the talent. The talent gets to interact more with the fans and stuff like that. And I think it's just such a cool ass vibe that we're just so connected more in a smaller setting, you know?
I think that's why I probably will never leave. Like I've wrestled for T Phoenix at RWA since he opened his doors, and there's many guys who've come and gone, and there's many guys who've gone on to do tremendous things in pro wrestling. But I think that's why I'll never leave, is because growing up, I was a huge fan of ECW, and when I perform in the Chop Shop, that's my arena. You know what I mean? That's my ECW arena. Like it's a vibe that I don't get anywhere else. Like I've had matches where I'm about to defeat my opponent and he kicks out and the crowd reacts, and I'm in there performing with some of my best friends I've ever been in the ring with, and the match isn't even over yet and I'm already shedding tears because like I like that the vibe is like, holy shit, like we're doing this, like this is it, this is what it's all about. Like when I was wrestling Cruz for the Triple Crown Championship a couple years ago, when I dropped the championship to him in RWA, I had hit him with the Canadian Destroyer, and I covered him. And when he popped out, because they've been watching me at the Chop Shop since I started, nobody kicks out. When he popped out, the crowd just reacted, and I broke into tears right there because this guy trained me. You know what I mean? And I'm giving him his moment. That is so overdue. You know what I mean? It's like that building. It creates moments. Like honestly, and to even talk about a recent one, the last RWA show before the Chop Shop and everything, and before all this stuff happened, Aizana, she had the moment of her wrestling career, in my opinion, at the Chop Shop, defeating Shay Cash for the Life Championship. Man, I was there. That shit had, oh my God, I had chills, goosebumps. The hairs on my arms were standing up. I heard the reaction from the finish. I didn't get to see like the actual match because I was getting ready for mine, but once I heard the bell ring and the crowd stand up, I jumped right out from the back right to the audience, like just to be out there with them and be like, whoa, like so I could soak that moment in with them, because I was there when she walked up to the hole in the wall building, the Force building, our buildings, like our building before the Chop Shops, and she walked in as a fan just like you guys, sat down with a camera, took some pictures, and she just never left. You know, she worked her way from a fan to a camera person, to somebody who was helping set up the ring, to somebody who was training, to somebody who became a wrestler, to somebody who became a champion. That's why we do this, you know, like that.
Yeah.
And that vibe in the Chop Shop, like that's what it creates. It makes people who don't necessarily think they could ever be special. It takes them to another level, and that gives them confidence in life.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I'm so, I'm kind of really, I'm a little blown away that you mentioned one Asana, because I'm trying to get her on Stirring the Pot. Maybe you can pull a little string for me or something, because I want me some sweetheart suplex action. Shit, not that I want to get suplexed by Asana. No, that's not what I meant.
Trust me, you don't want that.
No. I would love to sit with her. That's what I've heard about her, a little bit of her story like that. And the people that talk about Asana, they talk about her with so much love and everything. And I would love to have to be able to sit with her in a one-on-one like this. Asana, I love Asana. She's such an amazing woman. And she perseveres. And like you said, she became a champion. It's a story that I would love for the fans to be able to listen to. And Asana is, again, a local Rhode Island fave out there. Yes. And the crowd absolutely loves her.
Without a doubt. It's organic. Like I said, just her story is kind of similar to mine, and I would love for her to get the chance to tell her story because she's got quite a story to tell. But it's very similar in the sense that she came in as a fan, and she didn't necessarily grow up loving this, but once she found herself around it, she was immersed in it, and she adapted, and she was able to find herself and find a place in pro wrestling, and she's thriving right now. So congrats to her, and to anybody else who could do the same, you know?
Putting in that work, doing the drives, going to training and persevering and pushing through all of that. I have to give you men and women a million % credit, because I can maybe do 2 or 3 push-ups and then fucking give up. I don't know. I've never really tried. I don't think I've worked out a day in my life. And oh my God, probably Chris Cannon's going to piss all over me for that one. But I'm telling you, you guys, you push through and sacrifice in your lives and your families, the things you miss with your children and such. I don't even know how you guys persevere through such challenges time after time after time to be a wrestler. And I know where it comes from. It's a very heartfelt passion. And again, I give you, all you men and women, a million % credit for doing all of what you're doing. And then, not only that, you put your freaking bodies on the line.
I appreciate that. It's crazy. Like, I don't know. I think about that all the time, because I don't want to say that my struggle is worse than anyone else's, but I've sacrificed, even though I'm not a big star or anything like that, I've sacrificed a lot of family time because of my size, and because I've feared the insecurity of, if I take this time away, will my spot be given to somebody who's bigger than me, somebody who looks better than I do? And it's been a constant struggle my entire wrestling career to make sure that the story I tell in the ring means something, because I know I'm not aesthetically pleasing to everyone, if that makes sense. I know I'm not the prototype pro wrestler, so it kind of sucks when you think about it, that we do have to do those things, but that's what it means to us. It's not a knock, and it's not something that we resent fans for or anything like that. It's something that, sure, we would like sometimes for it to be acknowledged, like, yes, like, this is how much you guys mean to us, so I appreciate that you appreciate, you know what I'm saying? Like,
thank you, brother. Yeah, absolutely, man. Because without, I mean, you guys always say without the fans, there's no us. Well, without you guys, there's no us. So, I mean, it definitely goes way back and forth forever. Yeah, forever it will, man. So fans, if you don't know them or do know them, or wrestlers, if you don't know them or do know them, we just have this unsaid relationship that just kind of works, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It's a connection, like, with pretty much anyone. Like, it happens, like, even in the workplace, it happens all the time. Like, you find somebody that likes wrestling, and then suddenly, like, you find yourself talking to them about it all the time. You might not even know anything about them, but somehow, like, you guys are connected through that, you know? It's funny.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because generally in life, finding wrestling fans aren't really a whole lot that you can run into. Like, so it's almost like when you find a true metalhead friend of yours, you're like, you latch onto that. Wait, you're a wrestling fan? Are you fucking kidding? Oh, dude, we gotta talk about this. We gotta talk about that. You know?
Yeah, exactly. It's the same concept.
Yeah. So we've been talking a lot about the chop shop. Mike Montero, like you said, you've already spread your wings throughout other promotions earlier into your career, but Rhode Island seems to be more of your regular circuit, if you will.
Yes. Yeah, that makes sense.
RWA is a great time. I've only been able to go to 2 or 3 shows, if I'm not mistaken. I've been to a bunch more out there because there's multiple. You guys out there, this place is set in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. It's in the most, like, I went there at nighttime for the very first time, spooked the fuck out of me. I thought it was in a horror movie. Because
yeah, honestly, that's the one takeaway I hate from it. It's like, it's so hard. Like, even when I try to tell like some of my friends who are like, hey man, we want to come to the show. Where is it at? Where can we find it? I'm like, it's this like weird looking like horror movie building. Like, but once you walk in, it's totally different. You know what I mean? It's like night and day once you walk inside.
Yeah, because it's set up like this gigantic old industrial building. And when I mean gigantic, this place takes up literally probably 2 full city blocks. I mean, this place is huge. So you go down this cobblestone road, and then you have to pull in a driveway, and then you have to go down the driveway to the door. There's 2 buildings that meet up, and you get into this door. You walk down a hallway, you take a right, you walk down a hallway, and then sure and shit, out of nowhere, there's a room to your left, and there's fucking wrestling, baby.
Yeah, it's awesome, and you totally don't see it coming when you're walking, because you feel like you're walking to your death when you're walking down that hallway.
Dude, I went with my nephew. He was probably like 22, 23, and we pull in. He's like, I'm not getting out of the car. I go, dude, we're not in Hartford. Get out of the fucking car.
Oh man.
Yeah. So the Chop Shop, it's such a great setting. There's so many men and women that come in and out of there because there's got to be a minimum of a half a dozen promotions that run in and out of that place. You have a better feel and a better pulse on the Chop Shop. Could you please explain to me and the fans a little more about the Chop Shop and how many actual promotions come through this place?
Well, there are a few that do come to the building. I know they have Watch This Fight, and that's promoted by Nick Kucheri, and that's basically a charity based promotion, and that's he runs fundraising shows, and those do really, really well. Then there's RICW, Rhode Island Championship Wrestling, and they were renting out the original Chop Shop before, and they also have a hand in the building itself. Then obviously there's RWA, and Proving Ground runs shows there sometimes. They kind of alternate between their I think it's the Knights of Columbus in Peabody and the Chop Shop. And then there was a promotion called MAW that ran out of the building, but I'm not sure if they still even run anymore.
They changed names and they're coming right back.
Oh, okay. All right, yeah. So there's about 5 or 6, and I guess some people kind of take, like, I hear sometimes in the locker room like, oh, there's so much wrestling in Pawtucket. It's overflowing, it's oversaturated, and it's like, I guess, but all those promotions offer you something kind of different. I mean, sometimes you'll get to see the same performers, but they won't be doing the same things. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of different. Like, you're not going to get the same show at RWA that you get at Watch This Fight. You're not going to get the same show at Proving Ground that you get with Watch This Fight. You know what I mean? It's like everything is different. And it's kind of cool because, like, not every promotion there you see everybody. Like, for instance, Nick Kucheri at Watch This Fight, he'll book mostly local guys against Chikara guys, which is pretty cool. And then, and RSCW uses guys that you don't actually see all the time, and then they bring in guys like myself and Jason Devine and Ricky Medeiros, and we come in and we help work with guys who like guys like Jamie Tucker and Josh what's Little Daddy Bravo, I'm sorry. And we work with guys like that, and like guys who like Little Daddy Bravo, his father was Big Daddy Bravo, who's like a local legend in our area, and like they don't really get the chance to do this elsewhere, and it's not because they're not talented, it's because nobody's seen them yet. But who's to say that the match that they had with one of us on YouTube or on Facebook, it gets over and they get a chance to go somewhere else? I mean, like, Jamie Tucker blew up a little bit last year, getting to go to XWA on Thursdays and stuff like that. So like those companies offer something different, and then Proving Ground is just a totally different animal. Like it's as close to, like, with the stories that they try to push and the competition. Proving Ground is, I think, the closest to a sport of all the promotions that run out of the Chop Shop, because like because everything about Proving Ground is the wins and losses matter, because the wins are what get you to the championship. So the conflicts mostly come over who's the better man or who's the better woman. So it's real, you know what I mean? It's a bravado, it's an ego-driven thing between one another. So it's like it's a real competition, just like any sport, you know, like that animosity you have with your opponent.
Could I ask you a question on something that pertains to that? Now,
yeah, absolutely.
Say your peers that you're friends with in the business, and then that you talk to, say you go to dinner after with, or you hang out just in general with. Now, say a little bit of time have come, and Mike Montero is 3-0 in the Proving Ground, we'll say, and same Dick Lane is like 3-0, but somebody else is like 2-1, and so forth. Do you guys kind of fuck with each other outside of the ring, being like, I'm 3-0, motherfucker, like, does that carry over out of the ring? I'm very curious about that.
I mean, sometimes if you're trying to sometimes if I'm trying to like be an asshole, I'll do something like that. Like one of my favorite things to do is like, I'll like just to be an asshole. Like if somebody be like, oh, what match are you like tonight? Like when's your match? And I'll just kind of be like, main event, kind of just to mess with them. But like, no, like it's all in good fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. That's the stuff I love that you guys and girls do. Like, those little tiny digs are so much fun. I mean, it's wrestling.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to get away from the chop shop a little bit, and I want to. I've seen you at the XWA Center. It's a total different animal, totally different vibe, totally different feel. They have that entrance that they got over there. They have it's a big room. It holds a good few hundred. And when it's slamming in there, the vibe in there is off the hook, man. It is crazy up there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I've seen you on a bunch of different events in and out of the XWA, but were you a regular, or are you still a regular in and out of the Thursday night throwdowns? Because, man, those are some effing good times up there.
I'm actually not a regular at XWA. So the thing with the Thursday night shows is my real job, like what I do during the week, I work overnight. So it's kind of rough to go work a show on a Thursday and then leave and have to rush to work to be there until 7 o'clock in the morning. So those are like really, really rough. But like, if there's something like that we can make happen, like I said, I'm all about telling a story. And like right before the new year, I actually did a War Games cage match with Nick Delta and my guys, the Detox, against the Young Guns and Chris Pyro. And see, that was something that piqued my interest, because I can't just, and it's not that I have a big head or anything. It's like I can't just for no reason, like just go into, oh, we're gonna go, let's see what's gonna happen on a Thursday. Because from my understanding, sometimes things just happen. Like guys show up and let's see who we have and like let's make a match. And like, not saying I can't tell a story doing that. It's just it's the stress of having to do that, and then okay, now I'm gonna go throw my caution to the wind and put my body on the line, and now I'm gonna go stand up and go do manual labor for 8 hours. It's just rough. So like, there's certain things that like, if I can find a way where I can take the time out of work to do it, like when I'm on vacation, sure, I'd love to go there on a Thursday just for whatever, just to go and have a match, do something, have some fun. But like, I can't just do it on a Thursday, because like I can't just take the day out of work, because it's painful to go out there, because once that adrenaline wears off at 3 o'clock in the morning, I can't stand up anymore. You know what I mean? Like it's painful. But like that, I would like to do more with XWA, because they're building and their atmosphere, their vibe. It was awesome. Like getting to be out there in that cage with the Young Guns and with my guys and Nick Delta, like it was surreal being inside there and like going to war, and then afterwards having Jose Perez call us back out, guys that, because we're not regulars at XWA. He kind of called us in as like surprises to be for like Nick Delta to be like Nick Delta's like kind of like secret weapon against the Young Guns, and he called us in out of nowhere, and those fans hadn't really seen us before, and when it was done, they wanted to see us again, but like I said, it kind of just doesn't work with my schedule. So like we kind of like we gave them like that one night only, like, oh my God, who are those guys? And then we never showed up again. So it's kind of like we left that mystery. I would like to do some more, but yeah, it's tough.
Now, I'm sporting me one of the original Live Prov tees.
I almost wore that today.
Now, oh, really?
Yeah.
Now, Live Prov has changed over to being called Wrestling Party, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yeah, Wrestle Party, yes.
A Wrestle Party, yes. And that is run by one Sully Banger. And boy, man, I love me some Sully.
Man, he is such a creative mind. The dude is out there. I absolutely love Sully Banger, and Wrestle Party is a fun time.
So you've gone to and worked some of the Wrestle Parties?
I've been on, yeah. I mean, I've worked a good majority of them. Most of the shows he's had, I've been on, yes. And that's where I've gotten to like what we were talking about before, where you said like, what's your favorite like style of wrestling? Man, I don't have one. At Sully's show, I've been Mike Montero. I've been a pirate. I've been the wrestle your own adventure guy. Like I've done all kinds of nonsense there, and it's fun because their crowd's totally different. It's not like a wrestling crowd. It's kind of like a college like hipster, walk up to the door, have a couple drinks, what the hell is this kind of crowd, you know what I mean? So like they don't know what they don't know what to expect, so it's very, very easy to reel them in, and it's just so fun. Like we can do anything out there. That their characters are so over the top.
I've seen, like I mentioned earlier at the top, a pizza delivery guy. I mean, the characters that they bring out to do things, you guys just seem like Wrestle Party. It is exactly what it's titled. It's nothing but a party. You guys got, usually, if I'm not mistaken, every single show you have a live band that plays.
Yes, it's pretty cool. They'll just play out like a random tune for you to just come out to, and it's awesome. Like, because even during some matches, like when I wrestled Ashley Vox, she like started to pick up some momentum on me and started slamming my head off the turnbuckles, and the drummer was hitting the cymbal every time or hitting the drum every time I hit one of the turnbuckles. And it's like, as I'm getting my face bashed, and I'm like, this is actually kind of cool.
Do you feed off of that kind of stuff when you hear whatever's going on around you? Because not all wrestlers hear the fans. A lot have tunnel vision, but a lot learn how to adjust and become acquainted with hearing the fans. Yes. Do you feed off of?
I do. I've actually been on both sides of the coin as time has gone on. I was the same way. I couldn't get out of my own head. I would have to stay immersed in exactly what I was doing. And I didn't realize that my performance was suffering from this, because we need to gauge the crowd to understand where to go next. And as the years have gone on, I've grown to listen. Sometimes I hear people say things while I'm wrestling that I'm like, did he just say that? And then I have to like get back into what I'm doing. So yes, it's important, because if I can feel that you guys are reacting, then I become invincible. You know what I mean? And like now, getting slammed around doesn't feel so bad. You know what I mean? It's definitely it's definitely what determines whether or not that body slam or that back body drop is gonna suck. You know?
I don't think I've ever really heard it put that way, and that gives me so much more love for the men and women that feed off of that, and the adrenaline goes up just a little bit more, and you're actually feeding off of us as we feed off of you at the same time. So that's really amazing to hear, you know?
Yeah, definitely. It's how we stay alive out there. Like, especially like for us small guys, man, like it's different. We don't have that body mass that most do. So like when I'm crashing to that mat, that's my spinal cord crashing to that mat. You know what I mean? So like but when you guys are reacting, I don't feel that. You know what I mean? Like like I'm invincible when I'm out there, and I know that's the same for everybody else. Like with you guys reacting, as long as you guys care, like so do we, and like we're gonna be able to keep doing this, and it'll keep us alive out there. Sure, we'll feel it tomorrow, but it's definitely what keeps us going.
You know, since we're on this specific topic, later last week, I interviewed Elijah Six out of the Texas Strength Dojo. He hangs with the firm. He's the Go Already. If you're not familiar with Elijah,
I'm familiar.
With Elijah Six, and he does this thing where he's got this big piece of jewelry, and it actually fell off one time as he was getting in the ring, and the fans actually lost their shit. We were dying, and he heard that, and he ran with that, and he knows, like, now he kind of utilizes it, and he gets us right with him, and it's all like he didn't even have to do anything but do that, and he's already got us. So those little things that you guys and girls do for us is just, and we have a blast with it, man.
Good. I'm glad to, like, because it's true. It's just like that. It's organic. Like, you see something like that, and you guys react to it, and it's like, oh man, I'm gonna try that again next time. You know what I mean? Because like they clearly they did it. You know, so it definitely it helps us out.
Yeah, good stuff, man. I mean, the wrestling fans are some of the uniquest people in the world, but they're also big giant pains in the asses. Like if you go on any forum, that's kind of, to be honest with you, I'm not even part of any Facebook forum of wrestling of any kind. I don't do the dirt sheets. I don't go on the Impact
Neither
Wrestling.
do I. I'm the same way.
Yeah, and chime in on all of that crap. I just try to be a fan, man. I don't want to do this whole back and forth bullshit.
Right. Yeah, I'm the same way.
Yeah, I mean, because all the fans know everything about wrestling, and the fuck they do, just be a fan.
Right. Yeah, I stay away from them too, because like it's just negative. It's so annoying when you see somebody say, "Oh, they ruined this guy's character," or "Why aren't they pushing this guy?" And it's like, man, just watch the show. Like, I definitely miss when I was a kid and I had no idea what was going to happen when I watched Monday Night Raw. You know what I mean? Like, it was totally different before. Like, we had internet and everybody could just, tell you what was going to happen before it happened. And that's the problem with fans now, is they do think that there's some fans who do think like that they are so smart because they know these things that they didn't used to know before. And it can be a pain. It can be a pain, but at the same time, I also get it. They want to feel included. They want to feel a part of that circle, like connected, just like we all are,
I know over the course of the last 2-3 years or so, I've gained a lot of relationships with some of the men and women that work in that ring, and I've been asked, "Hey, Kincaid, you wanna hear what's gonna happen in my match?" And I'll be like, "You know what, my man? Let me be a fan. I want to be surprised." So I like that mystique still. I like that surprise.
Right.
To see
I'll tell you
what the outcome is going to be. I want that story. I want the end of the story to still be a surprise to me. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, sure. I'll tell you right now, I will never, ever let you know anything of what I'm going to do before I do it. Like, that will never happen, because that's all about the show. It's the show. It's the surprise. It's the mystique. It's the magic. You don't want to take that away. That's not what is that? What are you actually accomplishing if you're going out there and you're giving it away before it happens? There's no mystique. There's no emotion to that.
I think what happens is some of them get so amped up and so excited of what's upcoming for them. They just need to maybe vent to somebody, or
it's almost like they kind of, because we're all still fans, so they kind of get excited, like it's like, do you want to know what I'm doing tonight? You want to know what I'm doing? And it's like, but at the same time, it's like, no, because they're paying to see what you're gonna do. If they wanted to know, like, they wouldn't be paying to see it. Like, it's different.
Mike Montero as a wrestler. You've been wrestling for 12 years. You said you were what, 29?
Yes. Yes.
How much longer? Or are you just like, whatever?
I think about it a lot. I think about it a lot because as the years go on, like I said, going out there, I could be invincible when you guys are reacting. But when I started, I was invincible. And then a couple years go by, and those big crazy things I've done to my body, they would hurt the next day, but then it would go away. Then a couple years go by, now it hurts for a week. Now I'm standing on the top rope with Deshaun inside the steel cage at XWA, and I take the Spanish fly off the top rope, and now I'm feeling it instantly. So I'm starting to think that it's not that I'm trying to not that this is like a retirement speech or you know what I mean. It's nothing like that, but I'm seriously I do question how much longer, because I wouldn't say that the ship has sailed for me in terms of going further within pro wrestling. It's just it's not something that I really look into anymore. Like I feel like best way I can describe it is are you familiar with Lords of Dogtown?
I've heard of it, but I am not familiar with it. I'm not a movie person. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I'm not really either, but it's based off of four of the guys who pioneered skateboarding, and three of them went on to become famous like designers for skateboards and different things like that. Went on to become famous skateboards, but one of the four, he still just skates a lot, and he still just does this because he loves it. And I connected with that character, and I feel like that's the guy that I am. And it's not that I don't think I can, like, if opportunities come, great. And some people might look at that as me being lazy, but I can do this as long as I have an audience and there's somebody who cares about what I'm doing. Like, I don't care where I'm doing it. I love performing, and I love giving back. I feel like I've done a lot in the time that I'm young, but I've done a lot in the time that I've been around. And there would be times where I would resent not getting certain opportunities and seeing guys, and I would get bitter about certain guys getting to do things that I didn't get to do. And then I had to take a step back and look and realize, man, I've shared the locker room and the ring with some of the best wrestlers in the goddamn world. Mm-hmm. On any given night, I can go in the ring with one of the best in the world, and I can go and I don't need to be carried, you know? And I have that confidence in my heart and in my mind. So I don't need that approval from a worldwide audience, if that makes sense. I don't need it because I have it from you guys, and I have it from my peers, and I have that respect. And I just want to do this until I really can't, like, until my body says for sure, like, no more. Then that's when I'll be done. And whether that's still in the chop shop, whether that's on a broader scale, maybe that happens, maybe it doesn't. What I'm saying is I'm not going out of my way to be like, please book me, everybody, you know what I mean? Like, but like, please, or reaching out. And like, I know, like, for instance, I know NWA had that like tryout, Circle Squared or whatever it was to do that. And like, I think somebody asked me why didn't you apply for that? And it's like, man, I'm almost 30 years old, and I'm working during the week. Like, I can't just take the time out of my life to just go to Georgia to go possibly do a tryout, possibly be seen, possibly get a chance. Like, it's not, I don't know. I feel like I'm sounding kind of negative right now, but like, it's not so much that. It's just that I don't need it. Like, I feel good. I'm in a good place in my life where I don't need that approval, and I don't need to satisfy my ego, because I know where I'm at, and I know I'm not one of the best in the world, but I know that I'm good. You know what I mean? And that's I can sleep at night knowing that.
You were not putting out any negativity. You're giving me your raw feeling, first off, which this is, again, what this is all about. But you're also you have a job. You have a real job on the side. Wrestling isn't what you're trying to do for a living. And the people that are trying to do that, it's a different scale, man. You know, like
Yeah.
you're comfortable with what's going on in your wrestling career, and it doesn't need to be on a bigger scale. Where a lot of the wrestlers, they need that bigger scale. They don't give a
Right.
fuck about
Like,
that job.
yeah, like would I like I can't I'm not gonna lie to you and say that I wouldn't love to perform in front of
Right.
like that kind of an audience. That would be great.
That's
But what
great.
I'm saying is it's not like I look at somebody like Anthony Green, for instance. I've known Anthony Green since he was a kid, and he has earned every bit of what he has right now. But he has committed his entire life to that.
He did.
I can't say the same because, like you said, like I have a job that I always have to do. Like it's like I've never not been working. I've been working since I graduated. So like I've always like it's always, and I've been on my own since I was 19. So like I've always had to like fend for myself. So it's a different totally different dynamic.
Right.
And I don't, and I praise all those guys who can do that, who get the chance and have the opportunities to do that, and like that's great for them. And I sometimes I do wish that I could, and maybe I could pursue further, but like I feel like at this point I'm happy. I when I had, like I said, I got to do a lot early on, and I shared the locker room with a lot of the guys you see on TV right now. So like I don't have any regrets. I've had some of the best times of my life, like, and I won't trade my car rides for anything in the world. You know what I mean? So like,
I am to understand those are some of the craziest effing times to be had is in the car rides.
that's all dude, it got to a point, there would be times where I'd be driving to like New Jersey or something like that. And I'd be like, man, this drive is all I care about. Like, I just want to do this dance, get back in the car, and drive home with my friends. You know, like I can't wait to get back on the road.
That's great. That's amazing. Before I do kind of bring this on a downturn, getting in the ring and having to combat your friends, how does one pull that off?
I don't know. It puts a stress on me. I can't speak for everyone, but it puts a certain amount of stress on me because I want to perform at my absolute best because that's my friend. Do you know what I mean? And I want my friend to look every bit as good as they should. So like a perfect example is at Proving Ground, Devin Blaze recently made his comeback to professional wrestling. He had been gone for 2 years.
And I missed it.
Well, fun fact, Devin Blaze has been my best friend since I was 5 years old.
Wow.
We've literally started this thing since we were children. So like we've dreamed of this ever since we were kids. And when he left for 2 years, him coming back, he had his first match with Danger Kid the night before we wrestled each other. So he got to break the ice, and that actually took stress off of me because in a way I didn't want to be his first match back because I didn't want, if anything went wrong, it to somewhat be my fault, or I didn't want to have that on my conscience. I just wanted his comeback to be meaningful. So like that's how it feels for me. Like it's different. Like when I'm wrestling my friends, I put a different kind of stress. It's almost, wrestling my friends is almost like wrestling a name for me because like it's not the way some people think. Some people think like, oh, I'm wrestling my friend tonight, it's a night off. It's not for me because I always want my friend to look good. I don't ever want to do my friend like negatively and like, oh man, like, and have him be like, oh man, we shit it up tonight. You know what I mean? Like, no, I don't ever want that. Like if we're wrestling each other or if we're on the same team, everybody knows my crew of guys like Jason Devine, Ricky Medeiros, Devin Blaze, Chris Pyro, Davey Cash, like Shay Cash, our crew of guys, like everybody knows that if you put us in the same match, if you put us in opposite matches, if you put us in a team, we're opponents, we're all some of the best guys in this area, and we get it done out there. You know what I mean? So like I don't ever want to get in the ring with one of my friends and change that, or have them think like, oh man, that guy in their crew, he's the weak link. You know what I mean? There is no weak link. Like our car fools and our guys, like we're all strong. We're you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's actually probably the only time I've ever asked anybody that in an interview, and that insight right there, it's got me thinking, man. I think I'm gonna throw that towards a couple others down the road, because that's a great thing, because everybody is different, and I would definitely like to get the feeling from one to another. That's a fantastic way to bring that out, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. Like actually, it just made me think of something else. Was I wrestled AJP at Proving Grounds Level 9, and I don't know if he made it himself or somebody made this Tron video for him, and I had come out to the, well, I hadn't come out to the ring. I was in the back, and he was getting ready to make his entrance, and he stood inside the entranceway at the chop shop, and it was completely blacked out, and now the projection screen is on, and all I can see is this video, and the intro to Motley Crue's Home Sweet Home is playing, his entrance music, and this video is showing clips of him as a child, and in RWA's first show, when he's a 5-year-old child wrestling the Hulk Hogan Brawlin' Buddy, and like it's showing his progression as T has given his son multiple stints in the ring because he's loved this his entire life too. And I'm watching this video play, and the intro hits Home Sweet Home, and I'm like, oh man, now I have so much pressure on me. Like, now this has to be really good. You know what I mean? Like, after watching that, like, cause I was there when he was 5, you know what I mean? That blows my mind, because like I was there when he was 5 years old, and now we're in the ring telling stories together. So like that's one of those things, like like I've known him forever, but now my skills are tested, even though he's the younger experienced opponent. Now my skills are being tested though, because I have to prove that I still deliver, you know. It's an added pressure, because I don't want people to think like, oh man, he choked out there, you know.
Yeah, no, man, and that's a great name to bring up, is AJ Phoenix. That kid, man, he's got the charisma, he's got the presence. You know, he comes out, and man, dude, the fans. And I haven't been around the chop shop in a while. The last time I was there, man, the fans love to piss on him, and he loves to piss on the fans. Is that still happening out at the chop shop?
Despite his best efforts, the kid's charisma has organically made him the most popular guy in the building.
Really?
I hadn't wrestled at RWA in over 9 months. I took a hiatus from RWA just because you see me there, and I've been there for a really long time. So I sat back, and I wanted to try something different. I was doing commentary. While I was doing the commentary, I watched AJ Phoenix organically become one of the most popular guys on the show. And the last RWA show, myself, Ricky Medeiros, and Jason Devine, it was my comeback to RWA, and we took on the young guns of it was AJ Phoenix, Jamie Tucker, and Harry Brooks. And I was expecting the hero's welcome, you know, because that's my spot, you know. I've been there forever. I was expecting after 9 months to get this huge reaction, and man, it was like Hogan Rock in Toronto. You know what I mean? Like, they did not give a shit about me. It was all AJ Phoenix. I was like, what? After all this time, like, it hurt my ego a little bit. I was like, what? After all this time? So like, that's where he's at right now, and honestly, I think I'm saying it here. He's gonna go places. He has, if anything, he has it, like a charisma about him, a swagger that just can't be taught.
Yeah, he definitely does, man.
Unique.
Yeah, he definitely does. The personalities, the talent, the ambiance, everything out in the chop shop that I've always gone to has always been very cool. I never leave dissatisfied. I always have a fantastic time up there. And the prices up at the chop shop is pretty criminal, because you're only paying like $5 here, $10 there, you know? So, I mean, for a cheap price, you're getting a good show. You're getting all sorts of happenings, like you said, to tell the story from one to another, from the beginning to the end of the event. It's always a good time up there. And I am so glad that I was able to sit and talk to Mike because I've never met you outside the ring. It's always been at shows, real quick. Hey, what's up? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
We give
exactly.
a little what's up. So this for me has been an absolute pleasure. I have to say that. Thank you so much for taking your time out and giving us um, your organic feelings, your thoughts, all of your insight, especially the chop shop, because I was lost. I didn't know what the hell was going on up there half the time. This was really, really cool for me, Mike. So I can't thank you enough for sitting and talking to me, man.
Look, man, I'm gonna thank you because I didn't think I needed this as much as I really did. Because
Really?
I'm not like it. I am not the most socially what's the word here? I'm not very good at being social. For somebody who has to gauge an audience, I am very introverted, and I do feel like sometimes my presence is a kind of awkward. So like I try to be a high and by kind of person, but when I get the chance to sit down and talk about something that matters to me, I feel like that's when I can really open up. And I think I really needed this. So I want to thank you because this was fun, and I really got to express some things that a lot of people might not know about me and give you guys a different side of Mike Montero.
Dude, you talk about the chills, my man.
Yeah, man, I'm feeling it too. I'm feeling it too.
I mean, thank you so much. I don't want to cry on camera. I'm gonna shed a fucking tear. This was Stirring the Pot with Don Kincaid and my amazingly special guest tonight, Mike Montero. Thank you for spending the time with us. Thank you for giving the fans a little insight on Mike Montero. And I can say thank you for all night long. I mean, thank you, Mike Montero. This was amazing, my man.
Thank you. I was happy to do it, man. We'll have to do it again sometime.
Oh, hell yeah. Please follow up. That would be amazing.
Definitely.